Got a 1v1 on Darozas, really a special map. Has a whole bunch of mastery claim. You see all these rocks. So a lot of teching going on early on in this one. We have Aizura as Seraphim. You can see he's not doing any mask extractors this year, just power after the initial land factory, and very similar for Maverick. So Maverick is UEF, one of the most polite players in this game. So let's see what happens. Might have to speed this up a little through the first stages. So it's basically a symmetric map where we have 4 equivalent spots, and you want to get as much territory as possible, because besides mass extractors there's all these rocks that you want to reclaim. So you can see the build order. It's actually using 1 engine to get a little more build capacity from the factory, and 1 engine to get the mass extractors. You can see its energy is going to go on a long walk. Similar for Aizura. No second factories planned yet. So this is a map where you can get a nuke basically in about 10 minutes, just without making any mass extractors, getting all your mass from these rocks. Of course, if you don't build any mass extractors and you run out of rocks to reclaim, you'll be in a lot of trouble. So people really choose to invest in mass extractors anyway. But if you want to do a crazy build where you basically get something massive like a monkey lord or a nuke very early and surprise your opponent, if your opponent basically doesn't scout, you can really surprise them. We see a bunch of Selenians coming out, very good scouting units. If you just leave them sitting there middle of the map, they'll be stealth. This NG from Aizura is just getting mass extractors. And you can see multiple NGs, some civs in the middle, no defense. You can basically just reclaim them. We see multiple T2 power, so it's quite a bit of power and mass. If you want to capture those, it would be a very nice unit to have. We now do see some transports from Maverick or this Aizura. So a big map, so transports are useful. We also see a transport from Maverick, so very similar from both players. We see a land factory spam plus 2 air factories from Maverick. And we see that transport from Aizura is going to go sideways, try to capture this territory. Also some interceptors from Aizura. We see he's basically going 2 air factories as well, not nearly as much power as Maverick. And we see the transport from Maverick is going to try to capture this territory. You might see this interceptor meet this transport, but most likely not in time. So here at minute 5, you see Aizura has reclaimed 4,000, Maverick nearly 6,000. So Maverick doing a little better on the reclaim. See more interceptors and more land factories. Looks like a land factory going T2 plus an air factory going T2. Multiple factories stacking up. See some T2 mass extractors from Aizura. T2 land factory now. I'm going to get some T2 engineers, some T2 power. You can see both players symmetric on plan for Maverick, getting a lot of T1 land factories. That's kind of the difference between the Maverick and Aizura in this one. A lot more factories for Maverick. And now we're going to see a drop attempt from Maverick. He's going to drop a bunch of NGs onto tanks and arty. And that's going to be a disaster for Maverick, so well defended from Aizura. You also see a drop from Aizura to the middle, some NGs. Of course there's an NG from Maverick claiming all these mass extractors, and a single NG here from Aizura. So now we see multiple T2 mass extractors, T2 factory now going T3, and here this T2 factory making T2 engineers, still some T2 power now being spammed by Maverick. Almost completed T2 power for Aizura, now minute 8. And a lot less build capacity from Aizura. It appears that he has been able to take the top right corner. You can see actually, oh no, this is all T1, some T1 PDs. Maverick expecting a whole bunch of land units to rush in, but that is not happening. You see Maverick has neglected these T1 mass extractors, at least for now. We see some T2 flag from Maverick, some scouts dying. So multiple T2 powers from Aizura, so all teching now. And let's see this factory now. We see some T2 bombers. I might see some action from Aizura. T2 bombers would be nice if you want to snipe a few T2 mass extractors or T2 T1 power. Losing power at this stage in the game would be pretty devastating. We see a shield from Aizura, worried about you getting bombed. And we see a pretty good sized force from Maverick. Not clear how Aizura plans to defend against this. And we see a T2 force, a bunch of mongoose coming out from Maverick. Maverick really being aggressive on land, some mass extractors being lost by Aizura now. And we see NGs from Maverick all over the map, looking for mass extractors as well as reclaiming. If we look at minute 10 now, Maverick has reclaimed 30,000 mass, so that's 1.5 experimentals, and Aizura is only 10,000, so that's a massive difference, 20,000 difference in terms of mass reclaimed from Maverick. And you can tell, and now we see the T2 bombers coming in from Aizura. It doesn't appear that they actually dropped any bombs, and now they're going to get killed quite easily by T1 air as well as some flak. We see some T3 mass extractors from Maverick, some TMD, some T3 anti-air, and we see a T3 air factory from Maverick as well. So it looks like Maverick is definitely much better on this map and knows the build. Very protective from Aizura. He's making T2 power and T3 air. We actually see a Strat bomber coming up from Aizura here on minute 12. We see a fight T2 versus T1, and it's going to be really bad for Aizura. Not too much micro. Maverick is just throwing his superior force in, hoping they'll figure it out. And we see a T2 mass extractors here completely undefended from Aizura. And a Strat bomber going sideways from Aizura, and this might be some bombing. And we see the bomb coming in. 2 T2 powers taken out by Aizura. Very nice bomb, although we do see some ASF from Maverick. So that bomber only got one, actually no, 2 bombs in. So that should be a pretty big power deficit for Maverick at this point. He's got 1500 plus 1500 power, so he's dealing fine with it, it seems. He's making more T2 power now. And it's a lot of T1 factories, some T2 as well here, some Riptides, amphibious tanks, but they're still very effective, so complete domination here for Maverick. Top right corner we see another Strat bomber coming out from Aizura. And multiple losses for Aizura in terms of mass extractors. See the Strat bomber flying over. Instead of taking a direct route, flying over Maverick's forces, and now this Strat bomber is going to get to drop off 1 bomb. And a bunch of T1 power taken out. Not the best target. It would be better to drop it here. And it looks like that Strat bomber has, although there is another bomb. It targeted a T3 mass extractor, takes out the mass storage, but big problems for Aizura now at his base. We see multiple T2 mongoose coming in and a bunch of tanks and arty coming in from the other side, so we'd like to see some PD. Aizura now getting an upgrade, but absolutely no land here, so Maverick has Aizura's base basically free for the taking. Somehow Maverick's units are walking back. That's something that might sometimes happen if you select all and then move to one point. They try to regroup somewhere in the middle of the map, so these units trying to walk back, so you should never just go Control Z and move. You should select small groups of units. And now we see the devastation. We see multiple T1 PD, T2 PD being built by Aizura. Mongoose going in deep to Aizura's base. And although this T1 PD, T2 PD being pretty effective, I guess 3 kills. So I guess this shield is pretty effective, and there's another shield. Saving the T2 power is a big target. I guess the mongoose don't have too much damage per second. It'd be nice to have a little more arty in the area. It'd be nice to have, yes, arty. That's exactly what Maverick needs, is arty. But this is a bad situation anyway for Aizura. We see quite a bit of T3 air from Maverick. He's got kennels, plus he's making some shields, so being very protective. We see some T2 gunships from Aizura. We're actually able to defend, and a whole bunch of dead units and some T2 PD. So Aizura somehow able to survive that wave of units, and actually not much killed at all by Maverick. Nearly killed a bunch of things, but didn't kill anything. And now the T2 gunships getting free shots at these forces. Only a few T1 flak here, and then this T2 PD doing a good job. But the rest of the map pretty much belongs entirely to Maverick. He is going to reclaim these mass spots now. Maverick working on a T2 PD and a T3 anti-air, and then some T3 gunships as well. Now it appears that Maverick will choose not to attack anymore. At least he should, so a lot of his units are retreating. See some capturing of T2 mass extractors. Now it's kind of quiet. We see some ASF taking on T1, and more T1 walking into Aizura's base getting killed. So these 12 kills, 7, 19, 9, a lot of kills on these T2 PD. Now a lot of mass on the ground all over Aizura's base, and more T1 getting sent in by Maverick. So Maverick's just wasting units now. He is making T3 power now. You see the plans. If we look at reclamation, Maverick at 65,000. Some power problems, some major power problems. Aizura is 21,000, so catching up somewhat. This NG from Aizura has just been sitting there, surprisingly, still alive. Still a lot of rocks to reclaim on this map as well. Some T3 coming out now, some Titans from Maverick. The strategy from him seems to be just an onslaught, which is definitely not working. Now finally some mass extractors are being killed on Aizura's base. Some units sneaking in. Now Aizura working on chicken. That's going to provide him extremely good defense. See a lot of ASF being produced by Maverick, as well as Titans. Maverick no longer has any power problems, plus about 200 mass. It's a nice T2, T3, T1 force here. And the chicken is done at minute 23. See a nice ASF force as well from Aizura. And Aizura now working on T3 power. No shields for Aizura anymore. So the base for Maverick definitely looks better. A lot more T3 power. A whole bunch of kennels working on air. NG's working on T3. Surprising to see Titans and not Percy's. And now we can see this chicken is going to get a lot of veterancy from this force. So every 25 kills, this chicken is going to get a little more health. So Maverick actually playing a lot worse than he started. Getting a little lazy. We see a lot of things like this NG cell being alive, and all this free mass. And this chicken out 65 kills. Just gonna keep collecting veterancy. Some gunships coming in from Maverick. These could be in danger given that Aizura does have a significant air force here. He actually does have numbers, it seems, which is surprising well, it'll be very close, but it looks like Aizura does have the numbers, given how much air was built by Maverick. You see a fatty started, and it looks like the kennels are working on Percy's. Air is completely neglected by Maverick now. So we have Aizura with a chicken in the middle of the map and air domination. Maverick still making T2. So it looks like Maverick just wants to make a bunch of tanks in this one. So all these factories are T2. Now some Percy's coming in as well. Saw some scouts from Aizura. And now we see air. The kennel's going to air for Maverick. If he wants to have any kind of chance to do anything, he's got to take air back. 126 kills for this chicken. You can see the plan for Aizura is a nuke. At minute 28 he's already completed a nuke. And now we're going to see the chicken get even more kills against this T2 force. Doesn't look like we have an anti-nuke from Maverick, so no scouting. Although we now see finally an anti-nuke being started from Maverick. But not clear if he saw this nuke yet, because if he did, he would probably put a little more build capacity on it, like these kennels, and now it's exactly what Maverick has done. He must have just seen that Aizura has a nuke. 204 kills for that chicken. And Percy's being sent to their death. A very strange game. And now the anti-nuke is completed. Now Maverick just needs to get the anti-nuke missile. Fatty about a quarter of the way done. The nuke is actually nearly completed. And now the Senji that should have been dead is going to start capturing mask extractors. They are going to turn T2 very soon. It's going to be much more difficult to capture. You can capture it right before it turns to T2, so that's a steal. Chicken not attacking. Now we're going to see this nuke being completed very shortly here, so minute 32. The anti-nuke from Maverick nowhere near to being done. And now we have the launch. See the nuke coming in from Aizura. No anti-nuke from Maverick. And I guess that's cheating with a nuke. So that's pretty much a game thrown away by Maverick, but I guess nice to see.